Determined. Hi, Sue's here with your daily intention for June the 3rd. And determined is today's word. What are you determined to do? That's a question you could ask. What am I determined to do? So today I'm determined to complete that task, to tidy up that, to do this errand. And we're very good at creating a list of what we're determined to do. However, I'm going to ask you today to focus on how you're determined to be. How you're determined to be. Yeah, that's a different question than what am I determined to do. Do is about action. Be is about, well, being. Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, written just after World War II, where Viktor Frankl was imprisoned at Auschwitz. He was let out at the end of the war. He survived Auschwitz, one of the few who did, and he wrote the book called Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist. My goodness, my words this morning. A psychiatrist in Vienna right before the war, and had the misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because he was Jewish, he and his entire family went to the concentration camps. He survived, and what he wrote following that is I'd recommend it as a read for these times. Man's Search for Meaning. I'm not saying that we've been in a concentration camp, but this is a time where people are being called up to be the best version of themselves. Wouldn't you agree? I think we could really use it. I know that things are beginning to calm down, and I'm knowing that reason is beginning to prevail. But you're the one who determines your response or your reaction. That was the main thesis of Viktor Frankl's book, was that no matter what is taken away from us, the last of the human dignities, the right to choose one's response to any given situation, can never be taken away from you. You're the one who gets to determine who you are, how you behave, what your response is, and how you present to the world and what you bring forward to the world. Yesterday, the word was resourceful, and I talked about all the gifts that you have and the things that you could bring forward that you may not have been paying attention to. I think the human race needs to pay more attention to the gifts that we have and be determined about what are we creating. What kind of a world do we wish to live in? We have an opportunity right now to determine what history is going to look like going forward. When we look back on this time, will we see a missed opportunity, or will we see that we were determined to come out of it in the best way that humankind possibly could? I know I'm speaking very strongly today, but I feel very strongly about this. Each of us determines who we are in any given situation. And I know there's old programming and old tapes that are running and subconscious narratives, all of that. I get that. And I am determined to let people know that there is a way to change that. And then I am also determined to support anyone who chooses to work past those old gunk, the old stuff, and let's determine a better future for all of us. So be determined. Be determined about how you're going to be today, because it starts with each and every one of us. We can get all upset about the big world, but it's this world, how we are in the world, that makes a difference. So I know you probably weren't planning on getting a sermon this morning, but determine who you are and how you want to be in the world. And if you know that there's some changes that need to be made, if you know that sometimes when you get squeezed, you fall back into those old patterns, which we all do, and you're determined to make a positive change, then join us. Flip your switch. Totally affordable for everyone. And yes, it's an investment of 15 days of your time for an hour and 15 minutes each day. And why do I say 15 days? Well, because it's 12 days of course, and you're going to want to give yourself some time on the other days to put into place some of the things that you've learned. Because it doesn't just happen like that. Our patterns are things that we've developed over our lifetimes, and many of them were passed down generationally. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing is generational ick being acted out and being begged to be resolved in a positive and supportive way. And I am determined that that's what I'm putting my energy toward. What about you? What about you? What are you determined to put your energy toward in our world? What are you determined to bring the best of you forward around? Where are you determined to show up as you, even though it might be easier to show up as a lesser version of you, get mad and slam the door? Where are you determined to bring the best of you? Because until you make that decision, you're at the whim of every wind that blows. But stand solid in who you are and determine your response to any given set of circumstances, to any situation. So thank you so much for joining me, and I really want to appreciate and value you for showing up. I see Marnie, and some of them have scrolled by and I can't see. Susan and Jennifer, and another Susan, and James, hi, Heather, Brenda. Thank you for being here. Where are you determined to show up as you today? How are you determined to show up? And what are you determined to contribute to the solution? Forgive yourself for believing that you do not have any power. You do. It's standing in your heart. It's available to you to be determined. Give yourself permission to bring the best of you forward and be determined about it, even if it's tough. Choose to determine your response. Choose to determine your future. And be free to determine that today in easy, simple ways. The way that you do it simply and easily will then begin to ripple out. You know what it feels like to be determined. You've been there. It's like, I am determined. There's strength in that. There's power in that. And let's use it on this side of the line. You are determined. How do I know that? You're listening to this. You determine how you spend your energy, your resources, your resourcefulness. Take care. I'll see you on the flip side. I am determined that we will pull out of this in a better way. We're not going back to normal. As my friend says, normal is a setting on a washing machine. We have the opportunity to determine a positive, brighter, more respectful, kind, loving, harmonious, peaceful. That's what I'm determined to create. Love you to join me in that. Just want to check your comments before I say good night. Yeah, be the change you wish to see in the world. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Carrie. Today and every day, I choose to be determined to vibrate love and ease, regardless of what's going on around me. Good for you. Yes, thank you. Determined to love yourself and others more today through understanding. Yes, bring your understanding and compassion forward. That's something worth being determined about for sure. Determined to create, or to come from a place of forgiveness and grace. Yeah. All we're asked is for you to be determined to be your best self. You got this one. I'll see you tomorrow for another daily intention. Be determined. And I'd love to hear how. Bye for now.